There are three very important news stories that's happening with Ukraine that I want to go over with you real quick. And yes, ignore the fact that I'm wearing a tuxedo. In the first story, we're finding out that Ukraine had destroyed a Su-24 bomber. This is being announced by the Ukrainian GUR, who said in a statement that the specialist of the main intelligence director of Ukraine's Ministry of Defense Special Unit Ghost continued to, demilitarize the peninsula, aka Crimea. In their statement, they said over the past 2 weeks, they destroyed 8 enemy targets, including everything from the bomber to different kind of antennas and other radar stations. They also mentioned that they destroyed a Russian military train and some other kind of truck. So a lot of targets taken out in Crimea. Next, we're finding out, thanks to a report from the Kyiv Independent, in which they got a copy of the transcript between European leaders and Zelensky. In that call, the leaders went on to say that it's not the United States that will decide what will happen to the Russian assets, the ones that's frozen in Europe. With Europe going on to say that they're moving forward with the so-called loans and is solely responsible for decisions regarding these assets. This comes, by the way, as the United States is kind of working on a deal, or was working on a deal with Russia to use the frozen Russian assets to rebuild Ukraine, but at the same time, the U.S. companies would make that money. You see how that worked? Remember that the EU did formally say to Ukraine, we could use those Russian assets to keep you guys afloat, especially because they're looking through mid-2026, in which there's going to be a cash crunch if we don't start finding funding for Ukraine. But the United States, they don't want the money to be used that way. Instead, they want to use that money as a bargaining chip with Russia. And while according to the transcript, the German chancellor himself told Zelensky that, hey, this immobilized assets are entirely up to us, meaning Europe, to decide on, not the United States. And in my last story, we're finding out that Russia has once again committed yet another war crime by taking out a Ukrainian POW. This is coming from Ukraine's Prosecutor General's office, in which they said, according to the 10th Mountain Assault Brigade, Russian troops had carried out a covert infiltration kind of campaign in which there was someone who was injured. And to actually quote the brigade, they went on to say, the footage shows a Ukrainian soldier raising his hands and demonstrating his willingness to surrender, meaning he's no longer participating in hostilities. Despite this, the occupiers continue to keep him at gunpoint and open fire. And that the wounded soldier tried to take cover, but the Russian soldier finished him off with a shot from an assault rifle. And so that is your recap. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. I'll be sure to keep you updated, so please do share my videos and follow me for more.